From the first looks at the follow-up to Kimi No Na Wa, to new previews for upcoming titles like Caligula and Devil's Line, I'm your host, Anime Sam, and this is AniNews. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and today, instead of starting with the usual previews for new and upcoming anime, I'm gonna mix it up and start with some pretty interesting news that I came across. The first being for the initial teasers of what you could very well consider to be the follow-up to the biggest anime movie ever. Well, depending on how you look at it, because no, this isn't a sequel to Kimi No Na Wa, neither is it a film by Makoto Shinkai. But it is a film by the same production studio, Comics Wave Films, that was behind many of the most popular Shinkai works, including Your Name, 5 centimeters per second, and Garden of Words, all of which I highly recommend, especially if you're looking for the type of show that has no concept on what a happy ending is. God damn it, just turn around! Yes! Do it! Fucking hate trains. Pardon my language. Anyway, this is going to be a film anthology titled Shikiorori, meaning Poem of Seasons Woven Together, consisting of 3 short films called Sunny Breakfast, A Small Fashion Show, and Shanghai Love, with the themes covering food, clothing, and shelter respectively. What's interesting about this anthology though is that it's a collaboration with the Chinese animation company Howliners, who doesn't have the greatest track record with TV anime, but hopefully comics can help them fix that. Each of the 3 films will be directed by different people, one of which is Yoshitaka Takeuchi, who worked with Shinkai on many of his films as the chief of 3D CG animation. So if the teaser visuals weren't indication enough, you already know that these films will look absolutely gorgeous. As far as the plot goes though, each story takes place in a different city in China. The first, that covers the theme of food, is about a youth who works in Beijing while his grandmother remains in his small hometown. The second, which is on clothing, is about 2 sisters in Guangzhou. And the final is said to be a Shanghai version of the 5 centimeters per second movie. So far, that's all the information that we have, but I just want you guys to take a moment and just admire the 3 landscape shots that we got. I'd expect nothing less from the studio behind Your Name, especially with the level of detail that was put into the Shanghai visual. I don't think I can highlight enough the amount of talent this team must have to be able to design scenes that literally mirror reality. It's truly a spectacle. As of now, the only release information I have is for the Japanese theatrical release, which is slated for this upcoming summer. So it could be quite a few months after that we get a local North American or European release. I'll keep you updated for sure though. Now let's move on to another movie, one that just recently came out. If you remember last news episode, I talked about the upcoming movie Maquia, When the Promised Flower Blooms. Normally, I'd just leave it at that, but because of its recent release and lack of coverage, there's a bit more stuff that I wanted to share. First off, we got another preview, and this pretty much showcases the entirety of the story. We already know that Maquia is this girl that doesn't age, and her people were wiped out. We also know that she finds this baby boy in the woods and decides to raise him. But this new trailer focuses more on the relationship between the 2 of them because it shows different stages of the boy's life, all the while Maquia never aging. And although it is still just a 2-minute trailer, you can clearly see the differences in the way that the boy interacts with what's pretty much his mother as he grows up. Now listen, I don't want to hype this movie up too much, but you know it's going to be good when the review on the Anime News Network starts off with, "I cried multiple times watching this film." I mean, I damn near cried watching the trailer. Seriously. Pause this video and go watch the new trailer right now. You'll see what I mean. Like, one of the only negatives that the critic could come up with was that the emotional scenes were too heavy-handed. She's basically saying that you're gonna cry like a little bitch when you watch this movie. Now, I don't know why there's such little attention surrounding it, but if I could, I would fly my ass to Japan right now and watch it in theaters there. But I'm broke, so I can't. I just gotta stick to listening to the OST over and over again. Alright, let's take a look at some previews now. The first being for Abzu the anime. Nah, just kidding. It's called Grand Blue. It's literally just an anime about diving though. A college kid moves to an ocean city and his uncle owns a diving shop. I'm sure you can figure out where it'll go from there. Next. How about this one though? Caligula. This show looks pretty awesome. Last time I talked about it, there was no information. Just this dope looking visual. But now we got some more visuals, a synopsis, and a full on preview. So what exactly is Caligula? Well, a virtual idol AI that gains sentience, known as Mew, lives in a virtual world known as Mobius, which is essentially a utopia. People who are unhappy with their own lives feel attracted to this perfect world. But once they enter it, it becomes very difficult to distinguish between the real world and the virtual one. Regardless of who you are or what you were in the real world, when you enter Mobius, you become a student who lives an endless version of school life because that's what Mew thinks is the best. Now, I have no idea what the source of everyone's crazy weapons and abilities are, but it would seem that we have a faction versus faction type thing going on here. Probably the people who want to live in Mobius forever and protect Mew, versus the people who are trying to shut it down because it's most likely a detriment to society. And for some reason, everyone on either side has their own unique badass looking weapon that they can fight with. It'll probably be a mindless action show, but I'm 100% okay with that. Also newly released is the first full preview for the more edgy version of Tokyo Ghoul. Take out a bit of action, replace the word ghoul with devils, and add a little bit more romance, and you've got Devil's Line. I definitely just triggered the entire Devil's Line fanbase. Aside from that though, you know how the typical modern vampire series usually goes. They live among people like normal and then go out at night and feed. Except this one has a little bit more focus on a human-vampire romantic relationship and how it turns out. Devil's Line is set for release in April alongside My Hero Academia Season 3 and Tokyo Ghoul Re, so I doubt many people will be paying attention to it. Okay, wait, before I go on to the next preview, I just want you guys to take in next season's lineup. Steins Gate Zero, Hero Aka, Tokyo Ghoul, Food Wars, my personal favorite Gun Gale Online, your personal favorite High School DxD, don't lie to me, you know it is, Persona 5, and Full Metal Panic. And that's just scratching the surface, not to mention the new shows like Caligula or Megalobox that will also be premiering in April. I might just have to quit my job because watching all these shows might become a full-time thing, seriously. But speaking of Megalobox, for the third time in a row, they're back in the news with another brand new preview. I've talked about this one enough though, so if you'd like to watch this brand new trailer, then go ahead and click the link in the description. Next on the list is Banana Fish. The 1985 action shoujo manga is getting an anime adaptation, described as the most manly shoujo that you'll ever read, apparently riddled with gangs, rifles, gore, drugs, and guerrilla warfare. All the most entertaining aspects of a shoujo series. Since it's set to come out in the summer, I think I'll leave it at that for now, since I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty more of it in the future. And finally, this may look like the CG version of JoJo, but it's not JoJo. This is Fist of the Blue Sky, Regenesis, and I honestly have no idea what I'm watching. It's the adaptation of the 2017 manga of the same name, which is the sequel to the original Fist of the Blue Sky manga from 2001, and that's the prequel to the original Fist of the North Star manga from 1983. So if you want to watch a show that looks like a 12-episode Street Fighter cinematic, then you may be interested in this when it comes out in April. Now, I wanted to talk about the recent news on how Netflix was getting ready to fully commit to anime, but honestly, I don't think the article was even necessary. With an announced schedule of at least 30 new anime this year, you'd think it'd be pretty obvious that Netflix already pretty much committed to anime. But hey, at least now it's verified by Netflix's director of anime himself, Taito Okiura. I'm pretty sure I butchered that, but whatever. So, does this mean that anime is mainstream yet? Not quite. Unless I can talk about anime shows in public without getting weird glares from random people walking by, then I don't think it's at the point that we can call it mainstream yet. But we are heading in that direction. I think. Regardless, as I always say, the more anime the better. And if Netflix wants to keep shelling out money to studios so that they can keep providing high quality anime like Violet Evergarden or Devilman Crybaby on their platform, then by all means, keep doing your thing. It's pretty nuts to think that in the span of these 2 upcoming weeks, Netflix would have dropped the entire first seasons of 2 completely original anime, both of which are from very prominent studios in Japan. But from my perspective, this is just a limited view on what the actual potential of Netflix is capable of with anime. If you were to look at this new trailer that they released for anime on Netflix Japan, you'd see that the amount of anime that's in Japan's collection completely dwarfs any collection that North America or Europe has. I mean, they have Code Geass for crying out loud. What do I gotta do for Netflix Japan to share some of that love over here in Canada? Please? Anyway, as much as I'd love to talk on what I can only assume to be Netflix's push to gain the upper hand in the anime license market over Crunchyroll, that discussion would be too long and should be thoroughly analyzed as with any market landscape analysis. What I'm saying is, it's meant for a video on its own. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know in the comments what you're most excited for out of what you've seen today. So, if you enjoyed this type of anime news content, then you already know what to do. So until next time, ciao!